Ghani, everyone. This is Professor Ahmed Rahh, Professor Emeritus, California State University of Long Beach, Africana Studies Department, and retired professor and administrator from Compton Community College. Along with my co-host, Joe Hembrick, who may be joining us later, as we deal with this Zoom cast called Conscious Corner that was on the platform of Community Education Network, created and developed by Brother Rasaki Maskani. And we just give nothing but praise and thanks to him and his family for providing us this space to speak truth to the people, to talk about critical issues facing Black people, roundtable discussion on critical issues. We were supposed to talk about the history of Black studies and the Black movement at Cal State Long Beach, but because of the war that's going on, or the declared war, like they haven't been at war for over 75 years. It's a continuation of the war. It's not a declared war. But anyway, in Gaza and in the Middle East by Israel and the Palestinians, it's a continuation of the Palestinian war. So we're going to get some input and views from some of the listeners. And this is a very critical discussion because indirectly it affects us and it affects all oppressed people, which we will get into in a minute. So I just want to welcome all the roundtable discussion of people that will be discussing this issue. We start with Brother Mashinda out of Louisiana, Brother E from the hood, the LA area, and then we're in Compton, along with Brother, as I said, Joe Hembrick, historian Joe Hembrick, longtime educator from Linwood and Compton Unified School District, and administration, counselor, and all kind of roles. And we also have Sister Linda Shorter, who out of Florida, a long-time advocate for Black justice and work with the Black Long Beach Black Press, along with Ken Rubicam and her history, entrepreneur on a Black bookstore and cultural discussion area with her brother Reginald Muhammad in Long Beach. And we have Brother Rasaki Maskani, longtime educator, continuing to educate. And as I said, the founder of the Community Education Network, which we're part of that platform, and we're happy to share. So we want to get some points in.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got Brother Doctor here too.
Well, the good doc. Oh, wow, man, you know this is a blessing. We're blessed with the doctor. We all gonna get a prescription tonight. And we're gonna start with the doc. Doc, how you feel about this war going on, and what do you think are the reasons, or what position you have on it? Is it Palestinians' fault for going in there, or is it Israel fault for
You know what? I'm here. Roski told me what's going on. I need someone to tell me what's going on.
All right.
I have no clue. You know, I'm from Compton, man. We didn't study this in
All right.
you know, in school. So
right.
I know. I just know I got a Palestinian, you know, a neighbor over here. And I know one of his friends or his brother got killed in some of the last uprising, and he's the one to kind of explain a little bit to me. So I just need to know who was there first, whose land was it? I'm not getting this straight. If they were moved out, they just came and took. I have no clue. I read some stuff, but I want to hear from you because I trust your information more than anybody else.
I appreciate that. You must do kind. What about you, Mashinda?
Yeah.
You're breaking up, Mashinda.
Yeah, so my take on it is, hold on a second. Give me a second. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can't hear you.
Okay, so
We hear you good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you good.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. This is a long, this has been going on for a long time. So it's nothing new under the sun. It's just something that exploded, and people, I guess they say that Israel got snuck in the middle of the night. There's something that they wasn't expecting. Um, and so the mystery is like, how did they get caught? With their guards down. You know, and supposedly they had some faulty intelligence, I guess, where they wasn't up to par on their intelligence and what was going on. They had some battles that was going on in the region, and I think that the Palestinians, took advantage of they kind of, when kept, they expanded their attack surface by moving into land and air and all that. They came through, came at them on all fronts and caught them slipping. And but it's just more of the same. This has been going on for a long time. So my take on it is, I mean, my position. You hear that the Palestinians, they on the Gaza Strip, they have their territory, and Israel is the occupied state. According to the UN, they're occupied state. Israel's the occupied state, and they're in violation of like international law. Since like 1967 or something, after that war they had. 6 7 day war that they had back then, and so, the bottom line is it's about religion, it's about territory. And, I understand back in like 2021, during Ramadan and Passover, of course, those they occurred right after each other, really. And they said that the Israeli disrespect the Palestinians. They have a mosque there, the ancient uh, uh, compound there where Muslims go pray, but also the Jews go pray there. Al Aqsa, what is it called? Al Aqsa or something. And so it's a sacred ground for both of them. They both claiming it, and so the Muslims feel disrespected that they come in there praying from the Torah, and supposedly it's supposed to be if you're a non-Muslim, you don't supposed to be in there praying about other gods and other religions. And so anyway, it's like everybody feels disrespected, at the end of the day. So I guess they're convicted by their religion, and they feel that they both have holy ground. And where do I sit? I'm not over there. Thank God that it's going down. But Hamas, they feel like
His computer cut off.
in Long Beach State.
The Palestinians.
No. For Hamas, pro Hamas, not pro Palestine. I mean, not pro Israel, pro Hamas.
You weren't
Yeah.
saying for the Palestinians. They were supporting the
Hamas supporting the Palestinians. Yeah, so pretty much like Brother Mashindi was saying, it's it's in their region. I kind of feel for the Palestinians, saying I believe, that Israel, is their land, and I would rather see a different solution come out of this. I don't know Hamas. I don't know if which part of Hamas, how much Palestinians are representing Hamas, or what's the deal with that, But I'm just paying attention and trying to figure things out. But I kind of roll with the Palestinians.
Okay. Brother historian Joe, you have a perspective? Are you there?
Yeah, I was on mute.
Okay.
Perspective, but I got the truth about the whole matter.
We give it to us, Jeff.
In World War II, they loaded up the rest of the remaining Holocaust victims for the German Holocaust on boats, and they was sailing around trying to find them a homeland, and nobody wanted them. And so this guy used to wear the patch over his eye, the Jewish general, what was his name, Moshe Dayan. When they got to Palestine, he was tired of going around, and they blew the ship up, so they couldn't go nowhere. Part of the Balfour Declaration, the rest of the Europeans decided to give those Jews 55% of those Palestinians land, the best land. And so that's what they've been fighting about. The American press never talks about why they're doing it. Like if somebody came and took 55% of your house, what would you be doing? At first they was throwing rocks, and now they done got some ammunition. So it's on a different level right now. And as the years go by, they keep taking more and more land. And if you look at that Gaza Strip, Gaza, they just got that a few years back. Well, Gaza, if you look at it when they show on the news, it's a seaport. It's like a dock, like the shipyard. So that's very important land. So I believe that's what it's all about. After this is over, they probably gonna have that too. But I'm kind of through with my perspective. But anyway, that's the historical fact about it. The Balfour Declaration is when those people were awarded that land. And it's unjust. They try to use the Bible to justify the fact, claiming it's theirs, but we won't even get into that book and the ones who wrote that. But anyway, that's the real deal. And so it's gonna go on. It's gonna keep going on until them people get their land back. And we know that those Jews are not giving it up without a fight. And they got all the matter of fact, they're getting all the ammunition from the United States and other European nations. Is where the ammunition is coming from. So that's my.
What about you, Rashiki?
It seems like they kind of hitting it on the nose. I just know that I can't take the position that most of the media is taking, where they have these people, everybody's jumping on this bandwagon with Israel, and then they saying that they're terrorists. And how could they be terrorists when they just reacted to what's happening?
You froze for a minute, Rashiki.
Okay, can you hear me?
You freezing.
It's my internet. Can you hear me? Professor Rahh?
You freezing.
My internet. Can you hear me, Rahh? Go to the next person.
This is a continued struggle over 75 years of war. And there's a number of stories how Zionism, which is a nationalistic movement initiated by some whites, that Israel or Jews deserve a homeland. They first went into Africa, but they didn't want to go there. They went a couple other places. And so they went to Palestine, but the Palestinians and the Jews 75 years ago, they were living together until Israel began to fly its flag and began to push them out. And that's how they got to what they call the Gaza Strip, because Israel pushed them out after a number of wars, a number of skirmishes with the backing of the United States and other white European nations. It's not just the United States. France, Germany, all of them is a part of the reparations. In 1948, they decided to let them come into Palestine, but just like the Native American did, accepted the Pilgrims as guests. Pilgrims didn't fight their way into America, neither did Columbus. they were seen as guests. The same thing with Africa. White folks didn't fight to come to Africa. They walked in, the people treated them as other human beings and accepted them as guests. And the same thing with Canada and all of that. And the European expanded this power because they didn't know that they had hidden agendas. And so the agenda for the Zionist movement, and that's a nationalistic movement for Jewish people, began in Palestine. And this was the Palestine land, the Palestinians' land. And they began to fight back. And with the backing of America, they turned Israel into a military fortress. Right now, they don't have to, Congress don't have to pass no money for Israel. They got a armed depot in Israel already full of weapons. They got the nuclear bomb that America helped them get. And they protect America's oil interests in that area. With regards to their domination and their manipulation of corrupt other Arab groups, such as Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and a couple of others that they have been working with and things of this nature. But this recent war is very unique because, as Joe was saying, that little strip of land, they pushed 2 million people on a little strip of land. And the Palestinians have been fighting Israel about them stealing and killing their people for over 75 years. So this is a continuation, going back to Yasser Arafat and all the other brothers who Yasser Arafat felt that, and he's dead now, that Israel had a special gun, a special thing that they pointed at him and gave him cancer. And he's not the only one that have said that. Kwame Ture Stokely Carmichael said he felt that the Jewish people had some type of weapon that they can put radiation on you so you can catch cancer. But anyway, getting back to this recent war that's on TV, Israel strives on its ability for information, spies, converting starving people, giving them money to tell on what's going on. Second, they have one of the most sophisticated in the world with America's help and other European help, ability to snoop and monitor all phone calls, all texts, all emails that comes out of Palestine, and that includes the Gaza Strip and the Golan Heights and all those areas. Israel was so complacent because they had went into the Gaza Strip in 2014, and they stayed there until 2015. But this, as Joe was saying, this goes all the way back to 1967. The so-called that's how they got the land, the Gaza Strip, the 12-day, 6-day war with Arabs and the Palestinians back in 1967. So they took the land and they kept it. Malcolm always said, all wars is about the landless versus the landlord. First thing people do when they take over is they put their laws in place. And so Israel had put onto the Palestinians laws telling them where they can go, what they can do, and things of this nature. And it goes all the way back to that the land that they took. Their borders kept expanding. The Palestinians would say, "You go back, you can have some land for you," but Israel keep expanding. Like America was just a few colonies, and now it's it's North America. They expanded their power, pushed the Indians all the way back to the fact that when you say American, you don't think Native American, you think white folks. and that's what happened to Palestine. And they all use religion as a justification. America got started because they wanted to leave Europe because of what? Religious persecution. Israel got started because of what? They felt that they were victimized by Germany and things of this nature, and they needed a homeland, and they were brought in the Zionists and things of this nature, and so they set up their power base. America, Israel is nothing but a welfare state. America gives it over $50 billion a year to operate a state. It don't produce anything other than serve as a military base. Now, some people say they invented the Uzi. Well, they may have, but they don't. They got the nuclear weapon because America gave them. And if they invented the Uzi in Israel, it was with America help and knowledge, because Israel is nothing but an extension of America, and trying to have its power and its military base and deal with the oil issue in that area. So what happened is that when Custer got beat by Sitting Bull, America never said that Sitting Bull outfoxed their greatest general at that time. They said Custer last stand. America, in this war with Palestine and Israel, are trying to figure out, how did they beat us? They're humiliated. They are humiliated that people in the Gaza Strip attacked them, and they didn't get a heads up. None of their snitches told, none of their satellites told, none of their cyberspace. They didn't get no information. This was a stroke of genius, because the Palestinians used to have rockets like that you shoot up on the 4th of July, and they just stuff them with little explosives, but they never hit anything. They go up, and some of them come right back on them. Some of them will just drop, and every now and then one to get through, but it'll drop in a vacant lot somewhere. But now they got more sophisticated with their rockets. And when they said that Israel was attacked recently by land, air, and sea, they're saying that these gliders, motorized gliders, is equivalent to being attacked by air. They ain't had no bombs on those things. That just got them over the fence that Obama gave Israel, the Iron Dome gate, the stop missiles from coming over there, and bombs and things of this nature. And so that thing cost billions of dollars. But Obama, in his administration, because he was being criticized by the Jews so bad, that he gave them that Iron Dome. And they built a big wall, like what Trump wants for the immigrant. They had one separating them. In the Gaza Strip, the people cannot leave unless they have a work permit to go to Israel to do domestic work and field work. In Gaza, you can't. They have a blockade. They've had a blockade since 2014, where they can't fish. They won't let the people in Gaza Strip fish to get food. Israel controls the electricity, the water, and their food. And so they wouldn't let the people, they have no right to vote and choose their leadership. And Israel was doing all this. And they've killed hundreds of thousands of Palestinians over this since 1967. They assassinated their leaders. Anybody that stood up and talked about injustice was either assassinated or put in prison. They won't tell you how many prisoners Israel have of Palestinians. They're talking about 150 prisoners that the Palestinians or the Arabs of the Gaza, Hamas got and brought back. They don't even talk about that. They don't talk about their oppression. They're saying that they want the narrative that the reason Hamas attacked Israel today or Saturday, and they're still over there fighting, it was that they hate Jews. It's not that the Jewish people was oppressing them worse than what Hitler did to them. I mean, worse, way worse than that. And with America, and every time it came up in the United Nations, America used its veto power to stop the United Nations from implementing sanctions against Israel. Zionism is a government nationalistic movement that only Jewish people can be in authority and in politics and in business, economic businesses and things of that nature in Israel. That's what Zionism is. And the people that helped start it was not even Jewish. You understand? They just were a part of the white nationalistic movement. But the Jews used Zionism as a way to construct their government. They were declared racist by the United Nations. There are 3 parts of racism that the United Nations defined. Apartheid, that was in South Africa and other places in Africa. That meant living apart based upon race and being treated. Your value or your classification is based upon your race. Asian, Indian, African, and white, Asian, Indian. You can even put in for a race change in South Africa. And then apartheid meant you live apart from each other. And annually, they have an annual thing where you can ask for reclassification because they had so much miscegenation, people having babies, whites and blacks having babies, and they wanted to get their kids classified as white or colored or whatever. Then the other racism is Zionism. So you start with apartheid in Africa, Zionism in the Middle East, where the Palestinians are subject. They cannot be in Israel government. They cannot have an official position there. They only can go there for work and sex. You know, that's what they use them for. And they exploit them. And when I say vicious murder, Israel been bombing hospitals, bombing schools, bombing and mosques over there. And, you know, you don't hear it on the media. Like right now, they're showing all the suffering in Israel. And they're showing a little bit of the bombing, but they're not interviewing people. It's just like, in their attack, they got all the black politicians and politicians in America. When they get elected, they get a pledge to support Israel no matter what, that they have to sign. Second, they got to go to Israel. You got to go to Israel. You can't go to Palestine when they bring you over there. You can't go and interview there. You just go to Israel. And that's very important. And then you have other restrictions on the Palestinians. So this is a continuation of their struggle for liberation. It's an inspiration for other groups struggling. When America lost to Vietnam, they act like they won. You understand? And so it's a very critical thing. When they dropped the bomb on the Japanese, they didn't drop it on military people. They dropped it on the capital. 300,000 people died at one time. With one bomb, just with one bomb. And they don't even talk about the fire bombs they were using in Vietnam and in Japan. And they blame the Japanese for starting the war, talking about they bombed Pearl Harbor. That was a military boat that they bombed. They didn't bomb the people. And anyway, getting back to this thing. So Israel and America, those two great military technological powers, these people with hang gliders flew over the fence so they wouldn't be detected, blew holes into the fence, went in, captured little towns in the southern part close to the fence, and it's still over there fighting. That's an inspiration to people and to continue to struggle no matter what. Who care about odds, as Malcolm said? Who care about your technology? Same thing happened in Lebanon. They bombed Lebanon so bad in a war that they couldn't go in because they had destroyed and their tanks couldn't go in. The same thing with Gaza. They can't. The streets are too narrow, and they're talking all that stuff. That's why they bombing and using technology. When America had a fight with Desert Storm, they said that they ordered 50,000 body bags because the so-called Guardian soldiers over there was supposed to be some of the fierce fighters, and they thought they was going to lose a lot of American soldiers when they fought over Kuwait. Okay. When they went, they didn't even go into, I can't even think of the country. But what happened, they used smart bombs and missiles and went to the capital, bombed hospitals, utility places, and all that. And then they used cluster bombs on the soldiers, whereas their ears, the drums both busted, their nose was bleeding. So they had to submit. They never went hand-to-hand combat. And the same thing is happening with the Gaza Strip. They got to get out them tanks. They don't know what's waiting on them inside of Gaza. If Gaza outsmarted them to be able to go and get over 150, it's over 150 captives that they brought back and caught them by surprise, what do you think will happen if they go in? That's why they're bombing right now. And they don't know where these soldiers are, where the captives are, because the Palestinians and the Gaza, the Hamas got tunnels going all over different places that they, just like they had on sophisticated tunnels in Mexico to get the drugs in and smuggle people in. And they find them every now and then. They got all kind of tunnels. They don't know where the hostages is, and they don't have them all in one spot. When they raided Entebbe in Uganda, all the captives was in one spot with Idi Amin there, and they went in and they got them out, raided Entebbe. But they don't know where these captives are, and they don't know what's going on. And so they're describing them as vicious people, cutting off babies' heads and cutting up women and cutting up this. What do you think bombs do? They take off people's heads and nails, and that's what they're using. And so they got a propaganda thing. Now they're after the squad, the Black Congress people that speaking out against it. Jamal Brown, all the Arab, the Palestinian Congresswoman, and all of them. I should have wrote their names down, but anyway, it's about 6 of them that they want to expel out of college for saying that Israel shouldn't go in there and should give the Palestinian their homeland or let them just have some land, but they want it all. And so they've been building what they call settlements to expand their borders. Israel's a small little place. It's about big as Texas, You know, it's just a dot. It's just a dot, but it's a military dot in a welfare state. And it's a white say they Jews. Now they say they Jewish people, they're using religion like America used manifest destiny. God wants us to do this. And they prayed that the rope didn't break when they were lynching them. When they're up there praying and going to the wall, I ain't saying there ain't some Jewish people that's serious about their religion. And there's some Christians serious about their religion. And there's some Jews serious about their religion, and they practice it. There are Jews that are against all of this, what Israel is doing, but they suppress them, and they, you know, and they won't listen to them because it's about power and economics. That's what this war is about: power and economics. Now they got humiliated. They saw that their all their sophisticated spying and human resources and technological resources didn't discover this before it happened. They are shocked that the people, the Hamas, could do that much damage. Look, you know, Israel, they're going around saying more people. They haven't lost this many Jews since the Holocaust. That's what they're saying on the news. We haven't lost this many Jews. Oh, they saying it's over close to 1,500 Jewish people that's been killed. But they don't talk about the years and thousands of Palestinians that they have killed with their technology. They shot a little young boy off a bike just about 5 or 6 months ago. They have the media apparatus. When they make every congressman, even black congressmen and legislators have to take a trip to Israel to show their solidarity. Why do they do it? Because of the money Israel give up for the donation to their campaign. And Israel or get somebody to run against them. They did that to a sister in Texas, and she was against the brutality of the Palestinians. And then so they ran somebody against her. You haven't heard a condemnation of the oppression that they have put on the Palestinians that have been fighting for over 75 years. I want you to understand that. That's a long, protracted struggle. It was not as long as I struggled to get out of slavery. We fought for hundreds of years, and we still fight. Those that are fighting, there's other people that's comfortable in their oppression, and there's other people that is the collaborators with the oppression of the people. That's why we said last week that there was some people from Cuba, different race, that was part of the Proud Boys and part of work with the white right wing. Yeah, Clarence Thomas. Well, you know, they got taking the guy out on a boat, and a luxury boat, buying him first class tickets to games, and giving his wife money under the table. Well, that's, you know, Uncle Tom and selling out is big money. It's always been big money. And you understand, you'd be a millionaire. You know, I can name even Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, oh man. First, you know, he was he do a lot of demonstrations, safe demonstrations, you know. We're gonna march on Washington. We're gonna march over here, and I'm gonna do eulogies and preach and stuff like that. But Al Sharpton used to have a strong black line. But now, since they gave him the TV show, he ain't had one strong black person on this show. Especially, and then he's siding with the Palestinians. He letting them say anything. He was on TV this morning. I had to turn, I got sick. I had to go to the bathroom and clear my throat. This man was just selling out. But that's how he keeps his show. And that's how he get money for his Action Network. He know it. And anybody that follow him know it. I got a video of a tape of Al Sharpton when Obama was running. He endorsed Hillary. And he called Obama a Frankenstein, a political Frankenstein that white folks had created to run against Hillary. I got the tape. You understand? But once he got his show, man, he kissed so much of the Democratic butt, they don't even have to wipe it. I mean, when they use the bathroom, I ain't never seen nobody freak him off like that. He didn't just kiss butt, he did around the world. And it's a sad thing, but it's real. You understand? And he ain't the only one. Where are the Black Caucus? It's just 5 or 6 of them. You understand? Because they're not Black politicians, they're the Democratic politicians. And the Democrats, and Malcolm said there's no difference between a Democrat and a Republican. One's a political wolf, and the other one's a political fox. He said they both canines, and they both belong to the dog family. That's what Malcolm said. And you know what? I agree. I agree. If you get in the office to help your people, that's one thing. When you get in the office to stay there for the rest of your life, and you can't even speak out against racists, you can't. I ain't talking about police abuse, somebody gets shot unjustly. That's safe. You understand? Talk about institutional change. You know, what they did in the Louisiana Machinda on that voting rights, and they won in the Supreme Court, and Alabama's still saying they're not going to respect it. What they're doing in North Carolina, you understand, with gerrymandering? You understand? And gerrymandering is named after a snake. It means just going different ways, sidelining and stuff like that. I mean, this is a beautiful day for Black people and people of struggle, because it proved that all their technology and all their weapons, as Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And like Frederick Douglass said, there's no progress without struggle, never, and without demand. I mean, this is it. And Malcolm said the same thing. Dr. Karenga said the same thing. Struggle is a part of our DNA unless you suppress it and just go along and get comfortable eating chicken and omelets and hog maw and bacon sandwiches. Yeah, you got to be strong. Now, you got to be smart too. You got to know when to say what you got to say and where to say it and how to support groups. Sammy Davis Jr. did a lot for the Black movement. The white folks didn't know it. He gave them a lot of money for the Black Power movement. Not the Civil Rights movement, but Black Conscious movement. There are other Black people that do some things other than opening up schools and using white curriculums and things of that nature. I'm talking about that there've been some, what Danny Glover is doing. He speak out against oppression and things of this nature. Now, you don't see him in movies no more, but he spoke his truth. He did it after he made a bunch of money. But at the same time, he spoke out. And this is what they do. They want you to believe what's going on in the news. Every major network, cable or just regular, CBS, MSNBC, are ran by Zionists and the Jewish Empire. All you have to do is just look it up. You understand? You don't have to believe me. Channel 4, Channel 7, all of them, you understand, are ran pretty much by Jewish people. Right now, ain't nothing else going on. They don't even talk about Trump for the last 7 days. You understand? Because they want you to believe that they were just minding their business and the Palestinians or the Hamas just went over there and just start killing them because they're Jews. They don't talk about what they were doing to them. So those are the things that we're dealing with. Joe, you want to say something?
Yeah, just want to interject the Zionist handbook for those who may not know. It's called Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And what that book entails is these Zionists claim wherever they are in the world, their aim is to control certain institutions, mass media, banking, military, education, law, medicine, all these in transportation, all that they run. And just to give the people some information in the LA area, all while Tom Bradley was the mayor of LA, Black people only made up 17% of the population. So these people stand there from Jewish support. And I know when I was teaching in Linwood, I ran across a thing that the United States government gave 80% of their foreign aid went straight to Israel. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's their aim, to control all this stuff. And if anybody speaks out, like Arsenio didn't speak out. He just had Minister Farrakhan on the show, and he barely can get a commercial now. And they told him not to. He thought he was so big, he went on and did it anyway. But that's why a lot of the Black people with money, which translate to power in some degree, refuse to speak out against them at all because they don't want to be moved on. So that's the thing. And they always got the education. You know, they lost like 6 million in the German Holocaust. What about the Native American Holocaust? What about the African Holocaust? You can't even hardly find that in a book.
You can't even use the name Holocaust. They think when you think Holocaust, you think Jewish, but it just means a fire, destruction of people. That's all.
And then I want to say this about, you was mentioning all the areas where the racism goes. Let's talk about India with the 150 million Dravidians down in southern India. You know, they're Black folks, and they get. Matter of fact, one brother in India put his hand on one of them Indian temples, and he was tired and was resting. Put his hand on the wall, and they stoned him to death. So, you know, we reap this all over the world, but what we need to be thinking about is what these Palestinians is doing, because in Africa, we ain't running nothing either. We need to take a lesson from the Palestinians, because everybody I know to go there, the malls, the stores, and all of that is run by non-African people. And these corrupt leaders sell out, they sell the people out and allow these people to come in. They might build a dam or a hospital or something like that, and then they give them, you know, permission to do other things. And then the loans they gave you, you can't pay them back, so that allows them to do more stuff. But I just wanted to, you know, go on and throw that in right quick.
You know, you can't even use the name Holocaust, and you can't because Jews think have associated that only with Germany and their suffering. They don't talk about other people suffering, as Joe has outlined, in India and the Native American, the African people. What was the movement when they held us in slavery for over 100-something years? You know, their white folks say, well, I didn't have a slave, but you didn't do nothing about slavery either. You understand? You didn't vote out people. How George Wallace kept getting elected in Alabama? You understand? This is the same thing with Trump. Why are these people following Trump? You understand? Because he's talking white power, white nationalism. And you know, the killer thing is that our parents just wanted to work and take care of us and us to get an education. Don't really talk our parents, not all of them, didn't never talk. Depending on where you live. In the South, there was so much suppression, you know, people didn't even want to talk about it, you know, because they were just so hurt and humiliated. And second, they didn't want their kids to get hurt. So they kept information from us. They didn't even put up no pictures of struggling people. You didn't see Frederick Douglass picture up. You didn't see Malcolm picture up. Yes, Martin Luther King with Kennedy. because what he was talking nonviolent, but even though that was a strategy and a tactic, it wasn't a thing in which you shouldn't defend yourself. Everybody talking, Israel has the right to defend itself. Boy, that's a natural thing. Everybody got the right to do that. What do you mean defend themselves? By killing everybody else that they just say is my enemy? I mean, come on, man. They've been beating that horse since Germany. Anti-Zionism. Well, what are you against, though? What is your role in slavery? What was your role in even in the Holocaust in Germany? Some Jews turned in other Jews, just like some blacks turned in, and some Japanese helped them with in the war and things of this nature. Volunteer. You're gonna have collaboration, but quit acting like you because you're Jewish, you sacred. You're the chosen people. And everybody else is heathens and things. And when you say Gentile, they mean you just white folks in general. But if you're Jewish, you white folks with a special code, as Joe laid out, controlling institutions and businesses and financing other Jewish people that believe in Jewish superiority, white Jews, not black. Because you had the original Jewish faith was black people, African people. You understand? They introduced that spirituality aspect. Go ahead, Doc. You have anything to say? You there?
Yeah, everything you were saying, I was wondering the same thing, man. Like I said, I mean, exact thing, and like you said, my one couple of questions is, I didn't know if Roski can put up a map of the Gaza Strip. I just saw that for the first time. They had the little Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Never saw it before. They showed on the news in these little bitty areas. Let me ask you, okay, you said back in the 60s or something this started? Now, let me ask you this.
It started before then. It started in 1940 something.
Okay, let's say 1900.
Okay.
Who was there? Was just the Palestinian area? Nobody else was there. The whites or the Israel, who are they? Jews wasn't there?
That was the Arabic. The Palestinians had that land.
Did they have it in the 1800s?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Israel,
like I said,
Israel,
like my neighbor, he's Palestinian. He was explaining. So this is what I don't get. So if they were there before the Zionists or Jews, whatever you want to call them, I don't know what they are, but they came over to their land, forced them to the Gaza Strip or the West Bank, forced them out, started taking them over, and they want their land back. How are they terrorists? That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get, man. And nobody's explaining that. It's like you said, they're not talking about this on the news. They're just showing the one side, and so you can make that smaller, Rosaki. Can we see the whole? Because I see the Gaza Strip. So you're telling me all this, all these names over here I can't pronounce. They had all this, and now they're right. Let's say, okay, I heard of Jerusalem. Who was in Jerusalem and all this area? In the
they renamed it.
They renamed that to Jerusalem. See, I don't know nothing about this, man.
Jerusalem was a biblical name of a place.
Okay.
And they put it in there, but that's not where Jesus then was. And when Jesus came with good news, he was saying you didn't have to be Hebrew or Jewish to be accepted by God. And that's what started the religious wars from the standpoint of Jewish people saying they're the chosen people. And that's where the word Gentile came from, with the Jewish people saying that you have to be born a Jew. Then they started accepting Jews that converted.
Okay, now where's Israel at?
Israel is
show me that. I don't,
Well, Israel's right there where Jerusalem is.
Okay, let's say Israel is where Jerusalem at. Okay, now who was there where Jerusalem's at? Who was there in the 1900s or 1800s?
There wasn't no Jerusalem
Were
there.
Palestinians there?
Yeah, Arabs were there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they go to West Bank. So, okay, Israel, all that, you're telling me, this is what I'm asking. This is my question I don't know. Israel, the West Bank, Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip. You're telling me in 1900, it was nothing but Palestine. Let me just put it. No one considered that was Jewish was there.
The
That's
only way you found Jerusalem and Israel was in the Bible back then. And that's why they say that's what God left for them. And that's what Zionism come in and said, we need a homeland.
And,
they first went to Africa.
Okay,
they went to a couple other places.
When was that?
And that was in the 40s. And the United Nations said that they could go, that they supported them to go to Israel. I mean, Palestine.
And why
Palestinians let them in. And Palestinians let them in. And they lived together. Then the Jewish people started taking over the institutions, as Joe laid out, and began to move the Palestinians out. And then they got to become a military might, and they forced them into little parts of land, and they ran it. And the other Arabs were neutralized around, because they fought, they didn't just fight Palestinians. They fought Judea and Jordan. They fought Syria. They fought all of them, but now they don't fight.
You talking about Israel fought Jordan?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Because they were oppressing the Palestinians.
Oh, Jordan was fighting Israel because of that?
Yeah, Israel and Egypt. Okay. They all had a war with the Jews in Palestine.
That's what they were doing to the Palestinians.
Yes, right. Lebanon, all of them had wars with the Jews. But they weren't fighting just the Jewish people. They were fighting white folks that supported them. America, France, Germany, all of them.
And see, that's my question. So
and the United Nations never accepted Israel as a country.
And see, that's what I get. Why are the Palestinians called terrorists when there's actually Israel and the whites and the Jews? They're the terrorists, right? That's what I'm saying. Another thing I don't get, what kind of ekes me out is when they came on, oh, this is our 9/11. That kind of tripped me out. Huh?
Yeah. That's a key word.
Explain that.
Well, easy. See, they saying that even though they only lost right now 1,000 people, because it ain't but about 7 million people living. Most Jews don't live in Israel. That's where they go to retire and live. And so they're saying that it's equivalent to, it's worse than 9/11. That's what they're saying. Because in America, when 9/11 happened, they just bombed the 3 buildings. But in Israel, they're saying this attack, 11, they didn't take no hostages. You see what I'm saying? 9/11, there's a couple other things they said that America didn't go through like what they're going through with regards to them coming in and killing babies and taking hostages and things of that nature. So because Israel population is about 7 million, when they lose 1,000 people, that's equivalent to the 200,000 or the 100,000 or whatever was lost in 9/11 or more. You understand? They're saying that it affects their population worse than what the towers did.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
Brother Doctor, let me tell you this about that 9/11 thing also. Now the so-called attackers of 9/11, it was 22 of them, right? And 17 of them were from Saudi Arabia. But they didn't attack Saudi Arabia because of the kinship between the president and the Saudi, royal house. So they attacked what was that?
Iraq.
But the majority of the bombers were from Saudi Arabia. So why didn't they attack Saudi Arabia? People never, dealt with that issue because they're friends with the royal house. You understand? And that oil. So, and plus they say, oh, they got weapons of mass destruction. They didn't find a firecracker over there. The whole thing was to get control of that oil. It's all about the land or the resources in the ground. That's what stuff is about, pretty much. So there you go. And,
Yeah.
and let me mention this: when they had the Camp David Accords, who was the president then?
Carter.
Who?
Was it Carter or Bush? I
Might
know
have been Carter.
Egypt. They signed it. I thought it was Carter.
And they had Yasser Arafat, and who was the black president from Egypt at the time?
Sadat.
Sadat.
Anwar Sadat.
He said this. He said, "I'm the first true pharaoh in the last 2,000 years. So all them Arabs in Egypt are some invaders also. You know what I'm saying? They got all the black people pushed down south. So these people do this around the world because they are a minority in the world population. In order to keep control, they do the stuff that they do. And when you can control the mass media, you can say anything you want to say. For example, when they refer to farmers in America, they call them farmers. When they talk about farmers in Mexico and South America, they call them peasants. They do the same thing, harvest crops, but they call so that's the propaganda word game that they play in the press and TV, just like today. To get the pressure off of them, every commercial is biracial or homosexual. Commercial you see on TV today is biracial or homosexual to get the attention off of them and put it on somebody else. So there you go.
Yeah. And most newscasters is African American. That's what they choose. Don Lemon was gay and all of them, But anyway, the struggle continues, Rashiki. And I mean, it's an inspiration for other groups to struggle and continue their struggle where oppression is. Like we used to say, no justice, no peace. The struggle continues. Lutte continuo. The struggle continues. People don't give up just because you got all that technology and all them war machines and all that money. Don't mean that truth and justice will not overthrow you sometime. And that's what happened to America. America never intended to free us. And they thought that they could beat us, torture us, rape us, abuse us, and we would just go along with their enslavement. But some of us fought. And some of Nat Turner fought. Harriet Tubman fought. And others that we don't even know their names fought.
Hey, right. I want to, but now, okay, this was just happened. So, what's your opinion? What do you think is going to happen now, man?
I don't think everybody thinks that.
What do you think?
Well, they're gonna bomb them and bomb them and bomb them, but I don't think they're gonna go in there and rescue no captives. And I don't think that they want to get out their tanks or their technology. Every time they do that, they lose. America lost in Vietnam. They had all them bombs and stuff like that. And Malcolm said all they had was a bowl of rice and tennis shoes and ran them out of Vietnam. Go ahead, Joe.
Brother Doctor, I think what's going to happen is they're going to end up taking Gaza Strip, which they had to give it up before because of the import. If you saw on the map, it's right there on the water. That's dock, that's shipyard, that's trade. Okay, the same thing the Russians are doing in the war that they in. It's all about seaports. It's all about trade, especially in Russia in the wintertime. They need a warm water port to move their goods. So that's why they doing what they doing. If you look on the map, you see it's right on the water. That's very important. Okay.
Well, yeah, but they already got blockades. They got blockades on the water. They got blockades in the air. They won't let the people fly. I mean, these people didn't have nothing. They talking about they got attacked by the air. These people on gliders and motor gliders. They ain't have bombs on them. That just flew over the fence. Then they say you got attacked by the sea. They talking about people in motorboats. They ain't got no submarines and firing rockets from ships and stuff like that. They just use their imagination. And they out and tell me, amen, Israel and America is embarrassed. And they got to suppress them as fast as they can, because it will inspire others to struggle against them. I mean, that's why they say, hey, look how China's looking at this. Look how North Korea is looking at this. Look how Russia is looking at this. You understand? We can't let these people beat us. That's why America then sent all kind of weapons and big boats with 400 airplanes on it, and jets and bombs and all that. Come on, they want to deter other Arabs or other supporters from being a part of that movement. Hey, look, they're having an issue, and they're gonna have to give them people some land. They won't give them a homeland. They're talking about the only thing that Hamas want to do is get rid of Jews. No, they're fighting for a homeland. They're trying to turn it into a racial thing or a religious anti-Semitic thing. It ain't about no anti-Semitic. Semitic, both of them are Semitic people. Semitic is a language. Hey, you know, and Francis Cress Welsing said it just means you Semite. You understand? Mean you mix. And that's why Hitler didn't like Jewish people, because he said they were mixed. And that's what's oh man, it's a bunch of games going on.
Okay, so you're saying what they did was effective, but they're about to get bombed, you know, every day. But what they did in your mind was effective to worth the bombings and the deaths they about to receive?
And the oppression that they were living under, they were dying anyway. Their life expectancy was short. The man controlled every aspect of their life. They couldn't go nowhere. Right now, they're talking about they won't even let the people. They got Egypt to close this border. They can't leave. Even the citizens who want to get away from the war cannot leave the Strip, because as Joe said, the water is one way, and they got a blockade there, and they got their boats there to stop them. They don't have no airport, and they don't have no airplane. People can't fly out. And the other way is right there where they got all their boats and what they call them, hundreds of thousands of soldiers right there if they try to come out the front door. So they trapped all the way around. You know, it's not like the people can leave. A lot of people don't support what the Hamas is doing. You understand? They just want to live. People just want to live. That's why people in the South don't move from the South. They just want to live. You understand? Eat and drink and party, and you know, they just leave us alone. But Israel won't do that. Israel got to dominate, because they know that these people are going to fight to get their land back. And they want to make them. They thought that they had gotten them so beat down that they weren't doing it. They've been planning this for years. You can't stockpile that many rockets. They shot 2,000 rockets at one time to get around that dome. You can't say they just started this. It's not like a riot, or some people just got mad trying to commit suicide. They went in there with a mission. And Israel still don't have control. That means their vulnerability. So they got to show the rest of the world, you can't whip us. and we will destroy you. Hey, look, they talking about wiping the Gaza Strip off the planet Earth. They said, and they're bombing big buildings and stuff. They already said it's the most condensed, one of the most condensed populated people in the world. You understand? Because the buildings are straight up and straight down because there ain't no land. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're doing with these Ethiopian Jews that was airlifted there years ago, during the famine.
Yeah. And we had some blacks from America that went there as Jews, Israelites, under Yusuf bin Israel. I met him a couple of times and hung out, but he led a delegation there, and they did racism against them, wouldn't let them vote, wouldn't let them. And these Jewish, the Falashas that Joe was talking about, they were over there starving, and Israel went in the middle of the night because they didn't want to admit that they were the original Jews, and then tried to convert them to their version of Judaism. They had their version from an African standpoint, but Israel wouldn't wanted to change them into their version, and then they suffer so much racism there, and still suffering.
When black people go there as tourists, they won't let you see them. You can't go to where they're living at because they don't want the world seeing the bad conditions that they have those Falashas living under. Mm-hmm. That's what Dr. Ben is a Falasha.
Yeah.
Was a Falasha.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Boy, we had a good time. Rashaki, what's coming up Wednesday?
We got brother C.J. Moore coming back for part 2 of his new book, Opportunity.
Okay, but I just urge y'all to look up the history of modern day Israel, because they use a biblical story that God promised them a homeland to justify them going all over the world looking for it and settling in Palestine. Then look at the history of Zionism. It's right there you can Google it. And they'll tell you the whole story about the wars that Palestinians have been fighting, how Israel expanded its borders. They had given them a land, and then they wanted more and more and more. And America supported them. Gave them all the weapons they need, and still doing it, and money to operate their government. All right, y'all.
All right. So we're gonna take our pause. Each one teach one. Conscious Corner. We'll see you
tomorrow.